the endeavor of life, of living, of coexisting and interacting with other human beings. Now, our guest, Jeff Shavitz, is on the line, and I'm going to go ahead and welcome Jeff Shavitz, best-selling author and a great all-around guy. Thank you for joining us, Jeff.
My pleasure. Good morning, Dr. Waldo. How are you?
I'm doing great, sir. I'm doing great, and I'm all excited because I know you bring a lot of valuable information. In the intro I was sharing with our audience that you will be talking about the scoop, the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts of networking. And it's a lost art because everything now is, texting and email and video conferencing and all that is wonderful. But I believe that the one-on-one with human beings is still something we need for a balanced life, because we're meant to be with one another, not just communicating with one another, but actually interacting with one another. What are your takes on that, for starters?
No, I would agree with you 100%. I think people, you're so right, with texting, with email, the lost art of talking to people face to face has diminished. And I think from a business perspective, the way companies have really shown growth, and it's been proven, is by relationships. And relationships and authentic relationships happen on a one-to-one basis, where people can look you in the eye, see that you're a real person, the integrity, the morality is there, and people want to do business with people they trust. And it only happens by, in my opinion, yes, there's other means to growing a business, but I think networking is a lost art.
I think it is, and I believe it's created a great deal of conflict, or at least, of lost opportunities, because oftentimes when people drop the ball through these resources, they kind of feel comfortable in not readdressing the issue and just letting it go. And you see business dealings that fall. You see even interpersonal relationships that go by the wayside because somebody dropped the ball, and then there's the buffer zone of the electronic communication, which again, it's very useful, it's very practical, it's fast, it doesn't take much of people's time, but it's definitely damaging other components of life that are crucial. You worked in investment banking for a while. I can't begin to fathom that major deals like the ones you saw through could be conducted without people sitting at a table and discussing the details. I just can't fathom. I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork that goes back and forth through electronic measures, but the actual decision, the go-ahead, the making the deal happen, I believe it has to be with people sitting down with people.
And you mentioned an operative word a few seconds ago, the word fast. Everybody wants things to happen fast. You want to lose weight fast. You want to join a program and everything happens overnight. Life doesn't work that way. And just the way you and I met several months ago, the way you and I met was because I had joined a networking group or a mastermind 3 years ago that led me through Bill, who then led me to you, and now we have our friendship and our relationship. But it took 3 years to create this relationship, and now you and I are doing other business with other, Mitchell and other friends that we have in common.
Yeah.
But I think people just really need to understand, and I've coined in my book, Size Doesn't Matter, Why Small Business is Big Business, is the term ROT, return on time. It's no longer about return on investment. We need to qualify and quantify how much time we're putting into specific, in this, for this discussion, networking, and then look over time, did the return have its benefit.
And what's the relationship between return on time and return on investment? If I were to ask you that question, I don't know, as brief as possible an answer, what would you say?
The return on time must turn into return on investment, but I think too many times people go to these networking functions, and you and I spoke last week, and I think it's always very comical that people go to a networking function with their best friend, and they say the event wasn't a great success, and then I'll say to my friend, hey, who did you meet? And they'll say, well, I sat in the corner, had a drink with my friend who I went with. Versus, I've always told my friends, go alone, feel uncomfortable. Go to a networking meeting, and I know they're a little strange. Everyone's looking at their name tags on people's chests and faces, and, oh, what do you do? But I think if you get out there, people want to talk to one another, and it just takes that one person to sort of break the ice. But over time, you must qualify and quantify that it was a good use of your investment of time. But I think people have to go into this exercise a little more, hey, it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to go to this networking conference and get 50 business cards and have 50 contacts that are going to turn into clients. It takes time to nurture a relationship. And there has to be a trust factor where I trust you, you trust me, and it's only at that point do I feel comfortable giving a potential contact to a fellow business friend.
And now that you mentioned that, yeah, I've guilty. I've gone to networking events. You collect 15, 20 cards. First thing I often do is I don't follow through, which I think it's a great waste of my effort and other people's time as well, because you should at least engage with an email here and there. But the thing is, if you take 15 or 20 cards, are you really going to engage with 15 or 20 people, or should we keep it at something you can smile to a lot of people, but how about you focus? Is it practical to consider focusing on 3 or 4 people you want to meet that night and just leave it at that, and then actually be able to follow through in a meaningful manner with these individuals?
Yeah, I would suggest one. You've done the fatal flaw of not following up. But it's your show, so you're allowed to do this. You're allowed not to follow up when you host a radio show.
Not really. It's counterintuitive.
No, but what I would suggest is less is more. And
okay.
I think people need to have like in every part of your facet of your life, have a plan. If you're going to a networking event, you want to know that typically they'll list who's going to be attending, the companies, the people, the executives. You should know who you want to speak to. And you've got to get to those 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
And then you need to get 20, 30 business cards. You're right. I mean, you're really going to follow up correctly? I don't think so.
No.
But if you go in with a real plan, I think you absolutely can.
Or it's what I've done. I actually follow up with the people I find interesting as human beings and what they do, etc. I find something we have in common, and those are the people I follow up with, and the rest are just cards I have, because I don't even throw them away. I feel guilty by doing that, but I have them there. It's not producing much. I just wasted some paper, ink, and other people's time. So it's good that you're sharing what are the strategies to actually make this as effective as possible. And we're going to be discussing on a lot of things. Well, you've written several books. You're coming out with a new one, and you also have a course on networking, which I'm sure you're going to share with us a little bit of what it's about and how people can get into it. What I'm going to do is they're going to take us on a break right now, and on the return, we're going to address these topics so I don't interrupt you. So if you could please hang on, Jeff, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Stay with us.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with more Straight Talk with
As I went through school, one giant question loomed over me. What did I want to be? First, I had to decide what I wanted to make. I wanted to make more, so I became a teacher. Now I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, he's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Hi, Mom. Is Claire's birthday party today? Me again, Mom. Where did I put my history book? Hi. Sorry, forgot one last thing. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate. At school, I start looking out the window, and then I forget what I was supposed to be thinking about. I know it seems like I don't care, but I do. It's just difficult for me. Love you, Mom. Bye.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive. Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home Walk Restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Always here for you, wherever here may be. Tell Washington local stations matter by texting radio to 52886. Furnished by NAB and the station. Message and data rates may apply.
Are you looking or maybe needing to advertise? Straight Talk with Dr. Waldo on 880 AM The Biz can help you reach thousands of listeners daily to spotlight your organization or business in a highly effective manner. Radio still provides the best possible results for your advertisement dollars. For information on valuable resources and to learn how you can be noticed, please email us at info@straighttalkingradio.com. Let us help your business.
8:30 p.m. at the African Heritage Cultural Arts Center, 6161 Northwest 22nd Avenue. Looking forward to seeing you there.
We're back on Straight Talk with Dr. Waldo on 880 AM The Biz. Once again, here's your host, Dr. Waldo.
My mama told me when I was young, we're all on superstars. I'm beautiful in your way, 'cause I make no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Don't let myself regret.
For adventure and whatever comes our way. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space. I like smoking lightning. Heavy metal thunder.
Hey, welcome back to Straight Talk. This is Dr. Waldo, and you are listening to the voice of the Prosperity Revolution. Today, our friend and very special guest, Jeff Shabbat's a best-selling author, all-around entrepreneur and innovator, and very creative in every aspect of life, which ultimately, that's what being an entrepreneur is being creative and having the audacity, the boldness to move forward on an idea. We're discussing the topic of networking. And Jeff, thank you once again for being here, and I know you have a very tight schedule, so I really appreciate that you share this with our listeners, and I'm sure they're going to value it tremendously.
I hope so. At least I hope my wife does, if nobody else does.
Yeah, I'm sure that they always do. At least that's what they tell us, right?
Right, exactly.
So we're talking about networking, the importance of networking. How does this affect our lives and what we can get out of it? For instance, networking, in your presentation, you mentioned networking can be used to build your brand. And you might say, well, what is my brand? For instance, if I'm networking because I'm working for a company and I just want to get leads that I can potentially do business with. But there's still a branding component there, because you might be working for a company, but you're still an individual. And some people, it's not just doing business with a company, it's who they do business with inside that company. Some people I don't want to deal with. It's happened to me, and I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm human. Some people say, you know what, we just don't click. There's no communication. So you are branding yourself even if you are employed by someone. Is this
right,
safe to assume?
Yeah, it's such a critical point you're mentioning, and my former company, we had founded a credit card processing company. We were helping small to mid-sized merchants with their Visa, MasterCard needs, or around the world for that matter. And although they worked for Charge Card Systems, which is our company brand, in essence, we had about 600 salespeople around the country. They were really representing themselves. People were not buying from the company. Yes, we had a great back office support system. They were buying from the individual.
Oh.
And I think it's critical, no matter if you work for the biggest of the companies in the world or a one-person startup, you have to differentiate. There's your personal brand and there's your company brand, and many times they cross over, but at the heart of it, people buy from people. They don't buy from companies. And I think it's so important that people understand that, especially if you're in a smaller entrepreneurial venue, that the organizations are going to buy from you. And you must represent yourself properly. And I think too many people within the context of networking don't spend enough time to create their brand, their personal brand. I mean, why shouldn't, to our listeners, how many of you have a personal website with your name?
Right.
I'm sure it's very little. And, celebrities, of course, buy their likeness, but individuals should also buy their own domain names and, create the aura of who you are. So, I have a website, jeffshavitz.com. I did it initially because of my 4 books and some of the courses, but I want people to know who I am. And then, yes, we have a company called trafficjamming.com, which was set up to help independent business owners and entrepreneurs help grow their companies. Yes, I am the individual that created the company, but we're 2 different brands.
Right.
And I do think people should really represent themselves properly. And I also think, as we talk about networking, there's a term, and I didn't create this, but I think it's so important for individuals to remember this, the law of reciprocity.
Right.
If you help somebody, they're going to help you back. It's the way life works. It's a big circle.
I would even interject, and you might even get that help back, and it might not come from that person. It doesn't matter. You're just creating a critical mass in the universe, and I'm very fond of quantum physics and all this, and I believe there is reality in that old adage that what goes around comes around. So you might not. For instance, maybe your reciprocity with Mitch Levy at the AHA Publishing came through recommending me and someone else. Okay, not that you did anything directly for Mitch. Maybe you are doing something, but there's also reciprocity in recommending me with Mitch. And you know what? It turned out to be something wonderful. I developed another relationship, and it's moving forward. I'm sure with time it'll be a very nice friendship, and this is something awesome. So reciprocity spills over, and it comes in different directions. And I just wanted to add that to that beautiful message, because in fact it is very important. I want to ask you something, Jeff. Do you address in your lectures, in your courses, do you address, for instance, in your courses on networking? Here's something that's I'm going to ask you this question like if I were attending the course. How do I, in a world of electronics and internet sales, how do I personalize this? Can you network if you're, for instance, let's go to the biggest online retailer we know, Amazon. Amazon is very impersonal. They're selling a bunch of stuff, but there's really no person branding themselves to sell to you. It's Amazon, the company, being branded through the website. For smaller venues, is there any way of creating networking or deriving networking from this type of business that's exclusively online? Do you address this issue in your courses?
Yes, but I would respectfully not disagree with you, but I would augment what you're saying about Amazon.
Go ahead and disagree. That makes it fun.
It makes it for better radio.
Yeah.
That. And but what I would suggest is that companies the size of Amazon down to small companies, the term big data, little data.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is that, let's say, just taking my book for example, small size doesn't matter. It's now when you buy a book on Amazon, it will say also purchased, or you may also be interested in XYZ book. So they're trying to understand the demographics and psychographics of you, the individual, Dr. Waldo. What is your appetite for? What type of genre of a book? And now they're trying to get to know you better. So
Right.
they're going to look at the buying habits that you've had for the past 10, 15 years on Amazon, and they're going to try through the computer to personalize your buying experience. So I think that these companies, there's a whole debate right now. What is the future of the physical retailer? Will they be around in 5, 10 years with the dominance of the internet? I think they will be around. And the reason I state that is because when you take the word networking, to get to our theme, the reason that I visit a restaurant on a weekly basis or a store is because I have a reaction or a physical interaction with the merchant.
Right.
If the internet retailer cannot create that experience, and to me it's about the experience. Why do you shop at a store when you can buy everything right now on the internet?
Yep.
You don't need to go to a physical store, but for whatever reason, the experience, because the money is pretty comparable, but the experience is not. And I think that's why the physical retailer is here to stay, but the physical retailer must complement their presence with an internet experience, and that's where they can leverage both the web plus their brick-and-mortar stores.
It's interesting that you mentioned this because actually Amazon is around the corner from opening. I don't even know if they already opened it, a brick-and-mortar in Manhattan on Fifth Avenue, nonetheless. They're going to be opening a brick and mortar, and you say, really? Do they need that? Apparently, they're seeing the same thing you're sharing with us here, that there is an experience that people want to have. I guess they want to have something tangible. They want to be able to walk into Amazon, not just surf Amazon.
And there have been discussions. I've attended some conferences where, can you imagine if an Amazon were to buy one of the biggest retailers in the world, and we all know that the big boxes are a massive chain. Then they would, in essence, overnight have the largest. I believe Amazon right now is the third largest search engine. It's Google. I'm not sure who number 2 is, but I believe Amazon's 3 for search. And then if they were to complement that with a physical presence, it's a worldwide dominance.
Yes,
it's Big Brother.
It sounds creepy, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it does.
But ultimately, the power, I would dare say that the power ultimately lies in the people. What do you buy, and do you buy? So the consumer has a lot more power than sometimes the consumer wants to believe, and I think we should continue to exercise it. But back to networking. Charities, fundraisers, volunteering events you mentioned that are also good. It's not all about going to business events. You can actually engage in networking in many different areas. You were even sharing with me about golf, for instance, how good this can be just for networking.
Yeah, I think what happens is many people do not enjoy going to a structured business networking where they have to wear their suit and tie. They stand there, they walk around, they don't feel comfortable. I think it's much better to find a passion of yours, whether it's cooking, dancing. I happen to love golf, and get involved in networking using your hobbies. And I've done some simple math on my courses, where if we were talking about this yesterday, that if you can meet one person every day for lunch, you'd be meeting a lot of people throughout the year. Or said it differently, if you can meet 100 people throughout the course of a year through different networking, those people should know another 100 people,
right,
throughout their course of their life. In theory, you have just met 10,000 potential outlets of people. Now you need to be a little creative how you use those relationships, and that's why LinkedIn and all these different social media outlets, I don't think people spend enough time to really understand the power of these outlets. And I've been very fortunate that I work with a gentleman at the Friedman Group, Brad Friedman, who I'm not an expert on social media, but if you're not the expert, hire an expert.
Jeff, can you hold on to that thought? We
Sure.
need to go on a break, but I definitely want to come back to it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with more Straight Talk with
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions, brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
I'm getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When you were a little kid and you thought about what you wanted to be, teaching was at the top of your list. But things changed. And as you got older, teaching didn't seem like the best option anymore. So you're thinking you'll be something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Now you want to be a doctor. You don't think teachers save lives? 25 at a time. An actress? Try playing a different role every time the bell rings. How about a scientist? Ever heard of physics? Chemistry? Who do you think teaches that? Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning far beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching and put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Insight for the advancement of both individuals and communities through mindful awareness. Come join the Prosperity Revolution on Straight Talk with Dr. Waldo.
We're back on Straight Talk with Dr. Waldo on 880 AM The Biz. Once again, here's your host, Dr. Waldo.
My mama told me when I was young, we're all born superstars.
Hello and welcome back to Straight Talk, the voice of the Prosperity Revolution here on 880 The Biz, part of the Wall Street Business Network and a Bloomberg News affiliate. And you are having access to awesome content brought to us by our guest, best-selling author Jeff Shavitz. Thank you, Jeff. Before we move on to continue the conversation where we left off before the break, I want to remind everyone to take advantage of the NLP event that's going to be occurring in Miami at the Coral Gables Holiday Inn on Thursday, November 5th. And you can take advantage of a great offer to our listeners. That is an additional $100 discount on an already reduced price, plus a free $200 hypnosis session that will help you relax. And you can schedule this outside of the event, of course. And it's a value of $200. So you're going to be getting $300 just for going to an event that's worth thousands, and that's going to help you in ways you cannot imagine. So go to MiamiHypnosisCenter.com/Dr. Waldo. That's Dr. Waldo. Register there and take advantage of this discount. It is brought to you by Miami Hypnosis Center. Again, Thursday, November 5th. And you have until the 30th, this Friday, to take advantage of this offer. So don't miss out. And Jeff, thank you once again. I want to go back to where we left off. You were mentioning something to the effect that perhaps we're not making enough use of resources like LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, I think what happens is most people do not put themselves to their highest and best use.
Okay.
We all have different traits and different skill sets. Mine is not social media or fixing my VCR, which is still blinking from the year 1900.
If I had it,
I don't fix many things in the house very well.
If I had it, I would still be blinking too.
But in this context, what I would suggest, if you're trying to create the best use of your skill sets, and mine is not social media, hire somebody, hire a professional to handle that for you. So I'm very fortunate. I met a gentleman, Brad Friedman. He works with me, and he really manages my entire social media. I have a woman, Laura Kennedy. I have a whole team, Charles Wade. I have a whole team behind me, so I can do what I'm good at. I really enjoy networking, meeting new people, and I authentically enjoy it. When I meet a new person, it's not about, hey, how can that person help me? You know, the old adage is better to give than receive. It does come back. It may not come back tomorrow. It may come back a year from now, but it does come back.
It does.
And I think people, again, when we started the conversation a little while ago, you have to have a vision and a plan for how your networking is going to work. And I think the golf, I mean, I've always loved telling my coworkers, I'm going to build a relationship today, when in essence I'm going to play golf for the afternoon. But I will pick three people that I really want to create a solid relationship with. So a few weeks ago, I took 3 gentlemen out for golf. We spent 5 hours together, lunch and golf. We now have a true relationship where I could call these 3 gentlemen, ask them for help. Things happen when you're out of the office. And you and I were talking last week, even a lunch meeting, it takes energy and work to go meet somebody for lunch, drive the half hour, but it's a very different conversation than having a telephone conversation where you have to really jump right into work. So I think if people put the time in, it will be a wise use. Again, the return on time will turn into a return on investment, and in essence, they will see their companies and their personal sales grow, their company sales grow, and it makes for a better and more profitable company.
And I'm also thinking it fosters a sense of fulfillment, which is also very important. It gives you things you've been mentioning are I've been picking up the underlying message that it sounds like something pleasant, and that is what true prosperity is all about, is being able to have a balanced life. It's not only about making money, it's about having a structured and balanced life. And if you partake of these opportunities, well, it brings new layers of pleasantness to your existence. So I think that's also important. We're missing out a lot. Everybody's busy. And I've talked here on the show about the difference between busy and productive. This can be very productive. Those 5 hours, as you mentioned, people want to say, oh my goodness, are you slacking off? You're playing golf in the middle of the week, during working hours. Well, you're working, but you're having fun also. There's nothing wrong with that. Who said that work needs to be a drag? Actually, that's a sad thing.
I also think that most people, work is work. That's why they call it work.
Right.
What's fun for me, when we had our credit card company, did I really enjoy trying to save a business owner, $1 a month on their credit card fees or $100? The fun part for me was interacting with other business owners, hearing their story. How did they create their business? Why did they create their business? Why are they doing these strategies? And the after effect was, yes, I received their merchant processing account, which is terrific. But it wasn't the reason I loved my business. I loved working with other people, building our company, but the interaction of the people. Now, most people, my wife happened to have an incredible job on paper. She worked for the National Basketball Association.
Right.
It was work. And at the end of the day, what made it fun for her was the people she was, interacting with. So I think many people, I could work for a very mundane type of business, but if I was around smart people who are entrepreneurial and driven, I can really make any business into for me, a great experience.
And that's what it's about. So yeah, work is work. My grandfather he was very old school. He used to say that work is so bad that they pay you to do it. And I don't think so. Because he actually enjoyed a lot of the things that he did. So he didn't seem like he was miserable. I think you need to learn to understand how you can make this meaningful in your life and not only about getting a check. And this is something you share with your audiences in your courses. You also teach them, if I'm not mistaken, how to understand the different possibilities of networking without going to structuring events. For instance, you mentioned golf, but also taking advantage in your day-to-day work. You might be working for someone and an opportunity comes about where you can go out on your own and be entrepreneurial, but if you do not have the skill set to engage with other people, you might be missing out on fortunes several times during your life. And I think you help people understand this concept as well. Is this correct?
Yes, I think many people... Why do some people look at something as being a true commodity, that the industry is a dead business, where others can see that little vision? that they can really make it into an opportunity. Just like when we got into, just from a personal example, the credit card space, we were in a very difficult industry, very competitive industry, but everything's competitive. What's not competitive?
Right.
Getting radio advertising is competitive,
Yep.
but for whatever reason, people can connect with Dr. Waldo, so they want to participate and be part of your tribe. And I think what's so critical, and I keep on using the word, especially with my new business that we're launching, it's called traffic jamming. I want to build a tribe or a community of like-minded people. You want to be around people who believe in your mission of Dr. Waldo. So if there are advertisers, big companies, small companies who believe in your vision, they're going to want to participate in sponsorship advertising. The same thing holds true for me, and I think for all business owners. Out of 330 million people, whoever lives, whatever that number is, all we need is a tiny, 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 tiny subset of those people, and you can build a huge company. And I think that's where people get very distressed about how they can grow their businesses. All you need is 100, 200, 500 loyal followers out of 300 million people, and you've got a significant business.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I've tried to use when we teach our salespeople and other fellow entrepreneurs. I do a lot of work with other entrepreneurial organizations. I speak at some universities and around the country for some different groups, both nonprofit and for-profit. I think you need to be much more focused on building that loyal following of your tribe. And if you do that, and if you're loyal, if you're authentic, and if you're passionate, people will follow you.
I think
and if they follow you, you can build a business.
You mentioned an operant word, authentic. No matter what it is, as long as you're respecting others, be authentic, be yourself. This is what's moving. For instance, we're hearing the Trump phenomena, and some people say he's brash, he's hard, he's authentic. And people are tired of, having things sugar-coated for them. They want to hear authentic. I don't know how far the right will go. I'm not an expert in politics. I don't want to get involved in that, but it is an interesting social phenomenon happening here. Now, before we go into, I'd also like to talk a little bit about traffic jamming. We're approaching a break, but I'd like to ask you a couple of questions regarding networking. How many events a year? Question number one. How many events a year is reasonable and are good if you're going to do it appropriately? And two, should you budget the expenses of networking as part of your spreadsheet in the company? Is it an investment or is it an expense? How would you budget it?
I love that question, and thank you for teeing it up so nicely for me. I have a chapter in my book, my first book, called "Let's Waste Some Money," and when I use that in a very sarcastic way, is that you must put the money into a budget. So I call it "Let's Waste Some Money / investments of time." So I will budget $500 a month. It includes, meals, travel, but I want to know that it's in my budget, so I must do it. So in terms of meals, it's quite easy, but I try to attend one function a month. So that's 12, real functions, whether it's, but I try to think creatively, not just attend the credit card conference. Maybe you attend the liquor store conference, because now you want to meet liquor store owners, because that's a very good potential merchant for you. So I think 6 should be industry specific, and 6 of them should be really creative opportunities where you can meet people that are not specific. And I've always found with networking, it's great to meet people who are not like you. It opens up an entire new subset of people. Like a new friend of mine through another group I'm part, a mastermind group I'm part of.
Could you hold on? Could you hold on
Sure.
to that thought, and we'll come back to the mastermind and your experience. Stay with us, everyone.
You got it.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with more Straight Talk with
People are always talking about the stock market, always looking to invest in a good opportunity, something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock where you invest to make money, but a stock for a social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps students like me go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. I could be the first college graduate in my family, the first district attorney from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there will be a second, and a third. this can really be the start of something. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
As I went through school, one giant question loomed over me. What did I want to be? First, I had to decide what I wanted to make. I wanted to make more, so I became a teacher. Now I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Here may be. Tell Washington local stations matter by texting radio to 52886. Furnished by NAB and the station. Message and data rates may apply.
Are you looking or maybe needing to advertise? Straight Talk with Dr. Waldo on 880 AM The Biz can help you reach thousands of listeners daily to spotlight your organization or business in a highly effective manner. Radio still provides the best possible results for your advertisement dollars. For information on valuable resources and to learn how you can be noticed, please email us at info@straighttalkingradio.com. Let us help your business.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
I'm getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
8:30 p.m. at the African Heritage Cultural Arts Center, 6161 Northwest 22nd Avenue. Looking forward to seeing you there.
We're back on Straight Talk with Dr. Waldo on 880 AM The Biz. Once again, here's your host, Dr. Waldo.
My mama told me when I was young, we're all on superstars.
Hello and welcome back to Straight Talk. Here today with best-selling author Jeff Shabitz, founder of many companies and an expert on everything that has to do with life and doing business, engaging with people. Today we've been talking about networking, and I want to finish up a little bit on this and go to the traffic jamming process or project. Actually, you mentioned, Jeff. Before we went on break, you mentioned that. First of all, thank you once again, and thank you for hanging on.
No, thank you.
And you mentioned that you try to attend one event per month for networking purposes. That is, and 6 are industry specific or related to the project you're handling at present, and 6 are on the creative arena. That means going out of your comfort zone, going out even of what you might have been exposed to. In other words, explore other opportunities, open yourself up. And on that, you were mentioning you were going to share with us an anecdote regarding a mastermind group, and well, one of those pesky breaks came about.
Right, and I recently met a gentleman, Patrice, who's a celebrity hairstylist, and you would think, like, how could there be any synergy between myself as a credit card guy, a small business guy, entrepreneur, and a hairstylist? We became friendly, and he works on the red carpet, the Grammys, the Oscars, and we created an authentic relationship, never asking him for anything. He never asked me for anything. And then recently he said, hey, I'm part of the Hair Salon Association of America, and I have entree to thousands of hair salons for you. So by being authentic, now several months later, after he trusts me, I trust him, I have an opportunity to meet thousands of hair salons to become members of my traffic jamming business model. But it happened in a very slow, methodical way versus me saying, hey, Patrice, can you give me the names of 50 hair salons in Beverly Hills, it didn't happen that way.
It even
very
rubs people
gradual
the
way.
wrong way, right? It's like it seems like you're trying to leech off people, and I don't know, people see right through that, and it's not conducive. I happen to agree with you 100%, and I can't wait to actually sit down for one of your live events, because I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot. I love learning, and I think
Well,
that
and I want to learn about quantum physics from you, because I have no idea what that even means.
it's we can have a show on that. I've actually lectured on it, not from a very physicist standpoint, more from a holistic humanity perspective, and it's very interesting, because ultimately it's all about everyone being interconnected. So we are already a part of the great network called the universe, called creation. Whether we want to look at it from a scientific or a religious, spiritual perspective, it is still a fact, and it's an undeniable fact. And there is.
I look forward to learning from you. I can barely spell those two words. So
But and I think that's part of the beauty of life. When you engage in networking, you also have the added value of learning from people, and I love learning. So for me, that's a huge benefit in my life, and I've learned a lot from you. And again, I thank you for sharing this with our audience. Now, the last few minutes, I like to talk about traffic jamming. What is it? How did you come about it? And how can people know more of it?
Sure. So traffic jamming has been really the culmination of my past 30 years in business. I've been an entrepreneur. I've had partners. I haven't had partners. And I've always been looking for other people to bounce ideas off, especially when I didn't have an advisory board or a partner to share those experiences with. So I'm part of a group called Young Presidents Organization, YPO. I'm a few other masterminds. But I felt that the small business owner is really in survival mode half the time, including myself, putting out fires, how to make payroll, waking up in the middle of the night with just various thoughts. And my feeling was, if we could create an online portal, both with free content, like literally free, we have great content and expert advice, plus there's a paid component of $147 a month. It's, I respect everyone's money, but it's a nominal amount in the scheme of running your business, where we could help drive traffic to your physical store, to your web-based store. We've got best of class and proprietary products and services, and incredible information. We have forums where you can ask fellow traffic jammers for their thoughts. We have 24 courses in our resource library, where you can pinpoint if you want to study the franchise market, the women-based industry, how to grow advertising. We have all these different subsets of business content. And then we have courses, which are going to be coming up in the next week or so. One course is on how to earn recurring and residual income. One course will be on networking. So it's really a complex and integrated program to help the small business owner for a few minutes a week get the best of the best content and to help them grow their companies. We have access to about 100 million consumers. So the way we were talking about Amazon before, we know the buying habits through transactional data of how you and I, what we look for, what we shop for. So if we know there's the local pizzeria I live in South Florida, we can help direct people through promotional campaigns. But our whole goal is to help the independent business owner grow their company. And if we can't do that, we failed.
That is an awesome concept. And you mentioned residual income. That is actually what everyone should be looking for in the way of retirement. Quite frankly, first of all, I don't know how people can live on the government retirement, even if they got the maximum out of their contributions. So what can you do to create that residual income? This is something beautiful, and I find it fascinating, because I think this is what everyone should be doing, and that'll actually stimulate the economy. Now, the information for this is on www.trafficjamming.com. There's also your website, jeffshabitz.com, and of course, can people email any questions to the email you have in the presentation, Jeff?
Sure, and talking about being authentic, I love talking to, whether it's on phone calls, email, LinkedIn, Twitter. I really like to engage with my audience, and I want them to hear my feelings and learn from their perspective. So, Jeff at Traffic Jamming, info at Traffic Jamming, and all the social media, I will get back to people within 24 hours. That's the promise.
Beautiful, beautiful. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tweet out that the image of that slide that has all that contact information, including the toll-free number, so everyone can reach out and ask more questions and perhaps register for that event that you're having. When are you having this course?
The online courses they're being posted actually within the next 10 days onto the website. They're just being finished up right now. But in terms of, we are having a weekly podcast starting soon, and if people really should, since the content is free, I would recommend going to trafficjamming.com, sign up for the free program, and we'll start emailing and creating a relationship through email, and then we'll learn what you're interested in. You'll see the types of offerings that we have, and we look forward to. We really want to give back. The company wants to give back to the entrepreneurial spirit, and I think with big corporate America out there, it's us, the small business owners, really who are going to drive and the U.S. economy going forward.
I agree 100%. It is small and micro businesses are the future of the U.S. economy. Actually, that's how the U.S. economy started getting strong, and it's back to basics if we want to help it survive. So I think it's something we should all keep our eyes on and wrap our mind around it. Jeff, we're almost out of time. We have a minute, perhaps. Is there anything else you think it's important that you might want to touch on in that last minute for our audience?
If anyone has any golf tips, how to get my handicap lower, I'd appreciate any emails to me ASAP.
When they ask me my handicap, it's very simple. I always say the max allowed.
Exactly.
Just give them all to me.
I appreciate the time and the friendship, and I really believe that if people can network properly, create that vision, that the future is bright for all of us. I think people stay in their offices way too much. Don't get out and see what's really out there and how to grow. And the types of people want to help each other, but you need to find those people first before they can help you. And you must help them in return. And if you do that without judgment, it's going to come around full circle, and everyone will be a winner.
I agree 100%, and we look forward to having you back in the near future. It's been an awesome experience. Thank you very much for your time, and we're definitely staying in touch. Thank you for your friendship and for your lessons. They've helped me out a lot. So have a great day, Jeff. Everyone out there, stay empowered. Thank you. Bye-bye, and see you tomorrow.
Straight Talk with Dr. Waldo is brought to you in part by